Hello, this is Anna Imagination. I am tired, so I'm just sitting here taking a rest day. I have three kinds of days. I use this in my Triadic healing, so I will share it with you now because I love using these things. When somebody heals with my program, I explain that there are 3 days of healing, 3 days of work. The first type is, give me a minute, I got to think. I just had a thought and I got distracted. Okay, the first is what I call mental days. These are the days where you don't get to choose these days. These are the days when your subconscious mind decides you've got mental shit to do. And suddenly you're like burdened under a whole bunch of emotional mental shit. And you're dealing with it whether you like to or not. That's the first type of days, your mental days. The second type is what I call self-care days. And then the third type is called normalizing days. Now, I'm going to break these three things down for you because this is a fantastic coping tool. I need to reiterate that everything I do in Triadic healing is just, these are the tools that I used when I went through my mental healing, and it did a lot to help me through it. So this is me giving it to you to say, this helped me out a lot. Maybe it'll help you out. These 3 days were basically a rotation. They happen on a rotation. And you can expect them to go on a pattern. They do go on a pattern. They are predictable. There's a rotation. Mental days are actually what I call seed drop days. Normalizing days, now that I have the psych to plug in, I can just plug these in. I created this before I had this particular kind of psych. So I invented I did this a lot where, and this is why Triadic healing works so well, is because I reverse engineered it and I labeled everything and I designed it. And then when I reverse engineered it for psychology, I came up with names for it. And then when I researched the actual psychology, the modern psychology, I found out what everybody else is calling it and how it plugs into my work. And it's basically they have pieces of a puzzle and I've got the whole picture. That's what it is. Triadic healing is the big picture of psychology. There you go. These are the words I've been looking for. So triadic healing is the big picture of psychology. Modern psychologists have pieces of the puzzle, little pieces here and there, fractions. And they're trying to explain, well, actually, they're not. And that's where I'm looking and I'm going, why aren't you focusing on the big picture? Why aren't you looking at the core? And instead, they're looking at their little pieces individually. So this is called the seed drop. This is A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. Okay, sorry, musician. So yeah, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D every time. Now, the D is always higher than the B point. So if we have a line and you have, well, let's start down here. A, B is a little higher than C, or I'm sorry, A and then B is a little higher, and then you drop down to C and then you jump up to D. So then now the D is equal to A. So D, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. And when you look at this point and you connect all the Ds, you're going to notice that your behavior is doing this. This is how we grow. It's really cool. So when you have that drop, it's called the C drop. That's psychology. You can Google this shit. It's all over the internet. That's the C drop. So in my Triadic healing terminology, I refer to those as mental days. And then D is the self-care days. The self-care day is the recovery of, you just had a really bad mental day. You need to kind of take it easy, pamper yourself, administer the soothing, the nutrients, the self-care, love yourself because you just went through a war zone. And then there's the normalizing stage. So I'm going to break down this whole thing to you in this video. And if you can use it for your own healing. Absolutely using it. Knowing what the seed drop is and how it plays a part in your evolution and your healing and your growth goes a long way to help you manage it. Because a lot of people think, I'm going to heal, I'm going to get through this, and I'll be fine. It doesn't work that way. By the way, this is how you heal all the time. Now, this is the fun part. You know how I had the pencil up here and this was like the line? The reason why I had the line was for two things. First, it was a point of reference, but that's not also why. This is where mental shit is stable. This is what I call the 0 point. This is the point where you have your life under control. People with mental illness live down here. So that when you drop down to a C, you could be dropping into the suicide zone. True story. Eventually, you heal so much that you'll be living up here, but when you drop to a C drop, you'll be dropping down here. Now, the goal is to heal so much that you live up here, so when you drop to a C drop, you don't go below the 0 line. That's when I say you're healed. This is where everybody else lives. This is basically the normal zone. This is where everybody lives who's healthy. This is where the mentally unstable live. And there's going to be a point when you cross over where you will be fantastic until you hit the C drop, because the C drop is going to get you down here. The goal is to have you evolve and heal so much that you're up here, so that when you hit the C drop, you just drop down to here and you're still fine. You're still going to experience the A, B, C, D, but the C drop only puts you here. It's not going to put you down here. I remember the day, the month. I remember when I finally hit this point where I was living here and everything was fantastic. Here, you could be A, B, and you're not great. Things are shit. But then you heal and you get up here and things are great until you hit the C drop. Eventually, you're going to be fantastic. And then you're going to hit the C drop. And then you're going to be fine. And it doesn't matter. You're going to be fine. So this is where we want to get you. So that when you do hit that C drop, because you will always hit the C drop because it rains, it pours, shit happens, you're not going to go into despair or suicide. You're going to stay up here. So this is what our goal is to get you up here. And the more you heal, and it's a cycle, the more you see this progress, the more excited people get and the more they're like, oh, let's go. So this is an attainable goal, but it's baby steps in this repetition cycle of A, B, C, D. So this is how I break it down. You have your mental days, your self-care days, and your normalizing days. It is imperative to have a plan for all 3 days. And what I was doing when I got serious about my healing is I came up with a plan for each of these days. And then my days were spent with me evaluating. Every morning I did a whole, all right, what kind of a day is it? And I would go through a process. I will be breaking down this process to you. Maybe in this video, maybe in a later one. But this was my morning evaluation process. And then I have an evening evaluation process. I actually don't do it anymore. I do, but not like I did. I don't have to. So the morning evaluation, the evaluation process starts in the morning, always in the morning. And I recommend leaving 30 minutes laying in bed to do this. This was a, how do I feel? Where is my mindset? Where are all the shadowy bits in my chest? And if I felt any shadowy pressure, that was, oh, you got to do shadow work. That told me that I had stuff to dig out. You are not supposed to have a dark, impending feeling of doom sitting in your chest. You are not supposed to have a hollowed out emptiness in your chest. You are not supposed to have this nagging feeling of dread sitting in your chest. If you have those things, you need a therapist. There's something wrong. Or you can grab Tridec Healing, because this is designed to dig that out. So here's what we do. You've got your mental days. Your mental days, and that tells me that your mindset's off, you're feeling negative. That tells me you have a negative you're a negative mental environment upstairs. That tells me that, oh, I got shadow work that I need to do. And the subconscious mind says, it's time to deal with this shit. You don't get a choice. You are in the C drop. That means you are going to have to do the mental work. And once you figure out your mental shit, you are going to need to administer self-care. So this was my formula. This is how I handled this. If you found yourself in a mental day, it was always the remainder of the day plus 1 day. The remainder of the day plus 1 day. So if you resolved your mental shit at 10 a.m., the rest of the day was going to be a self-care day, and the next day. If you resolve your mental shit at 10 p.m. at night, the rest of the day is self-care plus the next day. You need at least 24 full hours of self-care following a seed drop. The reason why is because you just went through a reliving of a mental war zone. You need some soothing, some TLC, and some love. This is where I poured on real heavy that first ethical perspective. And that is all we do on self-care days. We really jack up that self-care first ethical practice. It's the get in your comfort zone, surround yourself with all the things that you love, go to your genie bottle, and have a you party. The way I do self-care is 100% different than the way the internet tells you to do self-care. My self-care is really different and unique. My self-care is a you party. It's not just a go to the spa, sleep, take a shower, change your clothes, brush your teeth, eat right, take your medication, I don't do that shit. Yes, you should be doing all of that, but that's not self-care, in my opinion. That's just responsibility and adulting. So there's adulting, which a lot of people say is self-care. And then there's a you party. My you parties look like this. You know when they say to you, you can't love someone until you love yourself, or a variation of that. You can't love you unless you love all of you or all the parts of you. So there is a lot of ideas of what this actually looks or sounds like, and this is what my takeaway on it is. Oh, no, this is what it is. Sorry, this is what it is. You've got 12 perspectives crammed into your brain. Actually, you have whatever perspective you're up to. So if you're a perspective 6, most likely you're a perspective 6 if you're watching this video. Newsflash, only perspective 6s, like perspective 5s barely start thinking about self-care. Perspective 6s are the one who are all over healing. You don't really get serious about healing until you enter perspective 6. Perspective 5s start to think about it. Perspective 1s are the ones who say, let's get this done. Perspective 7s are the one who've got it done. Perspective 7s are the ones who got it done. Perspective 7s are the ones who are healers who've got their lives together going, all right, I'm going to learn some techniques to help my clients. So if you have no clients, but you dream of having clients, and if you have a business and you're starting to realize that some shit needs to be cleared up, there you go. That's where you are. Most likely, which is why you're tuning into this video. Welcome to the wonderful world of Perspective 6. The 6th perspective is my favorite perspective, and it is the hardest perspective. I'm at perspective 12. I'm telling you, the 6th perspective is fucking hard. So my whole life shtick thing, passion, is actually working with 6 perspectives and helping people get through the 6th perspective. Welcome to getting the job done, rolling up your sleeves and getting the life you want. That's the 6th perspective. It's really dirty business, but you got to do it. Yeah, well, you don't have to do it. You can stay right where you are, but no one wants to be in the 6th perspective. And this is it. There is comfort in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th perspective. And there is comfort in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th perspective. There is no comfort in the 6th perspective. None. So when you get to the 5th perspective, you can feel it starting up. And when you get to the 7th perspective, you go, finally. And you just chill and you're like, life is good. There is no comfort in the sixth perspective, which is why you guys are shoving a bunch of amethysts up your ass. I get it, because the sixth perspective is fucking hard. The third perspective is hard, but there are ways to cope with the third perspective. Those people go, just leave me alone. Just leave me the fuck alone and I'll be fine. And yeah, they do. That's them. Or they're doing the other opposite. This is what the narcissists do, where they're going, I don't feel in control and I don't feel safe unless I have people to control. So people, come around me so I can control you. Good. Everyone's controlled. Now I feel safe. There you go. That's the third perspective. Sixth perspective, though, there's no comfort. There's no solution. Every Mercury retrograde, every full moon, you're ripped apart. You're going, this is fucking hell. Yeah, you want to move on. I get it. You want to get out of the sixth perspective. And every sixth perspective I've talked to is gone, I just want to get this over with. Yeah, you're dying to get to that seventh perspective. And then you get to the seventh perspective and you're going, oh, finally, I can breathe. Yeah. So the six perspectives are my people. They're my people. I love the six perspectives. That being said, there's adulting, which people say, oh, that's self-care. No, it's not. It's adulting. Taking my meds is adulting. Taking a shower and putting on clothes and taking time out to eat, that isn't fucking self-care. That's adulting. So you're sitting here doing self-care going, wow, good for you. You did what's basic requirements for survival. That isn't fun. No wonder why no adults are doing self-care. Okay, a lot of adults are doing self-care. But really, are you enjoying it? I mean, think about this. I hated doing self-care. And then I realized this is fucking shitty. And it's because it's not fun. It's adulting. They take adulting and they dress it up and go, look, self-care, you should do it. It's adulting. It's not fun. So I do something different. I call it a you party. So this is the you party. I'm going to tell you what my you party looks like because you're going to have to figure out your own you party. So this is a you party. There's the adulting, which you should be doing. Good. Yeah. That's the adulting shit. Now, the you party. You have all of these parts of you. You've got a 5-year-old still inside of you. You've got a 6-year-old still. I am talking to the 5-year-old inside of you. We're going to do a you party. I get a bag of Dorito chips and I get Reese's peanut butter cups and popcorn. Sometimes I melt the Reese's peanut butter cups and then I drizzle them on the popcorn. And then I tune on Rick and Morty. I have something on my living room, it's still there, called a nest. Now, my nest is the happiest place in the world. It is a bunch of blankets that I throw out like a picnic on the floor of my living room. Sometimes I get out my tent. I have a teepee tent, and I put that out, and I literally make a nest right in the middle of my living room with pillows and blankets. I make a cuddle puddle. And then I get high. And I watch Rick and Morty, and I sit there with my munchies and my Doritos, and sometimes I have apples and peanut butter, and I have a picnic while I watch Rick and Morty on the floor of my living room. This is self-care. This is a you party. This is fun. Oh my God, is it fun? That is fun. I'll light incense, I'll light candles, and then I'll stop and I'll go and I'll take a bubble bath, and then I'll come back to my you party. The purpose of this, and then I color and I'll put on my onesie. I do. I have a Pushing onesie. I put on my Pushing onesie. I got stuffed animals on the floor in my nest. And I have my journal that says, think happy thoughts. And I journal. And then I play video games. This is a you party. This is self-care. But self-care that's out there and all over the internet is work. And it's adulting that they glorified to make you feel like you're taking care of yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. Adulting and self-care and taking your meds and taking a shower is fucking important. But it's lacking a big ingredient. Fun. I'm sorry. I'm a mother of 3 children. Like, is that really what our lives have gotten to? Where when you take your medication and take a shower, you're told, congratulations, you're doing self-care. Don't glorify this shit. It's adulting. You're telling me that the best I can do for myself is basic adult responsibility? Is that really what I've earned? No, it's not. It is not what you have earned. You have earned playtime. You have earned a party. Make it fun. Like, seriously, tap into your imagination, tap into your child nature, tap into the shit that you love to do. My knitting is also down here. So, seriously, whatever you love to do, if it was your birthday, I mean it, wear a fucking crown, put on a gown, dress up. Seriously, make it fun. The reason why is because you need to be activating the imagination inside of your gorgeous brain. And once you activate the imagination inside of your gorgeous brain, you need to then glorify yourself, turn yourself into a goddess queen, paint your nails, and have fucking fun. Go beyond just taking your meds, taking your shower. Have fun. And if you don't feel like having fun, that's okay. Put on a onesie, grab the ice cream tub, sit down in front of some cartoons, watch some TV, get high, and veg out. That's self-care. I really hate the persons who said self-care is taking your meds. And you mean adulting? You want me to reward myself by being a responsible adult? That's not fun. That's not healthy. I mean, it's healthy. You should be doing it. And that's just it. It's the and I know where this mentality comes from. This is the psychology of the mentality. It's appeasing the super moms. It's the super moms who are conditioned, and I don't use the word super mom. I hate the word super mom. Super mom is a glorification for a trained slave. You have a woman, a child, a girl who is brought into the society with the expectation that if she's not giving and serving and killing herself for other people, she's a scumbag. So she's conditioned to not have an identity until she breeds. We literally breed our women, dumb them down, and condition them to obey. And then we held them to this ridiculous expectation of perfection, and we overload them with so much work that if they don't achieve supermom status, they get slandered. So that when they finally reach a point of exhaustion, I found out yesterday that when we get them to this point and they finally burn out, it's called spoony moms. And I'm going, wait a minute. We condition these women to be societal slaves. We punish them if they don't. We shame them and we slander them. We push them to this ridiculous expectation of super mom until they burn out at 35 and 45, at which point they finally crash and they can't do anything without spending a spoon in metaphor to represent their energy. And we're trying to reward them by saying, just take your meds and call it a good day. No, have a fucking you party. Have some fun. Do something you actually enjoy for you. And don't you dare feel bad about it. Don't you dare feel bad about it. That's the societal conditioning of guilting you unless you give yourself 3,000%. Fuck that shit. Oh no, I didn't cater to that shit. Oh, believe me, I lost a family because of it. And it was worth losing the family. My brother, my youngest brother, calls me a slut and a whore because I refused to be a super mom. Because I'll tell you what a super mom is. It is somebody who enables, and it's codependency. That's what it is. And it is the enabling codependency that creates narcissists and the enabling mentality, so that you end up walking away from that kind of parenting, either a narcissist or an enabler. And just pause for a minute and think about it. If you are an enabler, I want you to just think about your oldest sibling. Were they a narcissist? Are they a narcissist? That's because almost always the firstborn of an enabler becomes the narcissist. Because this is the cycle. You have a woman who is raised in our society to give and give and give and give and give and give and give until there's nothing left. So that when she finally has a child, her whole mindset is, this is my identity and I have to give it all or else I'm selfish. So then that enabling mother who's been conditioned will pour 1000% into that child. And that is how a narcissist is born. When an enabling slave-like mother provides 1000% to a narcissist. Do you remember in the movie Emperor's New Groove when you see the infant and Kuzco is sitting there going, "Oh, look, it's me as a baby." And the baby's sitting there going, "Ah, ah." And he plays with his little doll and he squeezes it and the head pops off and he cries. And then boom, there's 8,000 babies there for the baby while he's crying. That is enabling. And wouldn't you know it, Kuzco turned into a narcissist. Over enabling our children, the oldest turns them into a narcissist. And then the flip side of this, because the mother is so busy giving 1000% to the narcissist, she has nothing left over for the rest of the children. So they experience a scarcity of love, while the narcissist child, number one, experiences an abundance. See how this works? An enabling mother, because of the way we condition our mothers to mother, it's not the mother's fault, it's society's fault. And because we are mindlessly repeating this, we're not aware of it. So we just keep recycling this process. So we have these massive amounts of enablers. And like there's like three enablers for every narcissist. And that narcissist will have like 5 different enablers inside of its realm. Oh yeah, there's a pattern. I drag this into sociology. I pull this, like, look at the sociological chart of this. Our government does this. Kingdoms do this. Realms do this. Parenting does it. Mothers do it. Everybody does it. And then the fathers, who are in most cases a narcissist, training narcissist junior how to do this cycle. This is why. This is why. So what you end up having is an over-enabling mother who's over-parenting because she wants to redeem herself. She wants to prove her worth. She's been told she's selfish her whole life. So she pours everything she's got into that firstborn child. That firstborn child never experiences the cycle and the ethic that it needs to not learn that shit. So they never learn how to become dependent because they are over-dependent upon being taken care of, which is why they learn the lesson, I need you. Every narcissist needs its enabler. Every narcissist. Every narcissist is convinced that they cannot do or be without an enabler. And they also believe that if they stop needing, they will be left alone. Because that's exactly what their mothers did. As soon as the narcissist stopped needing, the mother went and took care of the other children. But the other children were experiencing a completely different experience. Their experience went like this. Oh, mother is so busy with that child over there that I'm getting cookie crumbs and bread crumbs and I'm getting nothing. I'm getting love kernels. So the enablers are getting love kernels and learning an entirely different message when it comes to parenting. Meanwhile, mother is throwing 1000% into this child. So this child is getting a surplus while these children are getting a deficit. So these children walk away learning extreme independence. If they want to get loved or be loved, they have to be over needy more than the narcissist. So it becomes a competition where they're like, I need you, mom. I need you, mom. I need you, mom. And mom doesn't see or pay attention until and only unless this child's needs are met. So then she gives maybe 1% to these children, and then they have to fight over that 1%. And then she goes back to take care of this child. Now, what we see in some cases is oldest child goes away, mother has a baby. The new baby becomes the new narcissist, but the middle children are still neglected. This happened in my household where my brother, who was the oldest, got 100% of the attention, 1000% of the attention. I was the middle child. My sister was the baby middle child. Then my brother came along. So we all got the scarcity because my brother required all of her attention. He was her favorite. And then when he threw her away, she went to another man, literally had another baby. That baby, my baby sister, got plugged in and she became a narcissist. Now my mother gave all of this child the new attention. Well, again, my other sister, my other brother, and myself all got neglected. So now my sister, myself, and my brother are all enablers. Well, I fixed my head, while my oldest brother and my youngest sister end up being a narcissist. And that's why. That's how it works. That's the cycle. So get rid of the concept of supermom. It's toxic. You're not supposed to be a supermom. You're not supposed to glorify that label. You're not. It's a toxic label. and it glorifies it. Oh, I'm a super mom. Don't say shit like that. It's not a good thing to be a super mom. You're literally going, I'm a very obedient, well-endowed slave. Don't glorify that shit. Call it for what it really is. There are 4 types of women. There are A's, which I call house elves. Yeah, those are number 2s. Those are second perspectives. Second perspectives are house elves. They love being slaves. They don't know they're slaves, and they love doing it. Those are second perspectives. Then there are the dobies. The dobies are the bee women. The bee women, I was a bee woman for a while, are the house elves who know they're house elves, and they're trying to get the fuck out. I was a dobie for a long time. And then there is the freed domesticated slave. These are the sea women. I am a sea woman. And then there is the 4th category. These are D women. These women are born free. I have met a total of 3 D women. 3. I will tell you the psychology of all of them. Well, the A women are second perspective. Always second perspective. The C women are the 6th perspectives who are trapped as a second perspective and who are expected to behave like a second perspective. Second perspectives always obey the 4th perspective. They have to have a leader. And it's the 3rd and the 4th perspectives who assume the role of leader, usually the 4th perspectives. And that second perspective loves it because their mindset is called the tribal mindset. So says Dr. Graves. The tribal mindset is anybody, male or female or luminal, who absolutely adheres to the concept of, I don't have any self-worth unless and until I am part of a community and I am contributing. And my definition and defined self is only determined by the people in the tribe who assign me the role. Second perspectives have one rule to learn. They need to learn that they have more to give the world, that they are more than what the community says. But they have to experience severe discomfort to want to change that. And that is something that they don't usually experience because their codependency with a religion and with their relationship usually provides them with all the emotional prosthetic they need, taking them absolutely no incentive to want to get better. You don't see these women suffering until the children move away and they have to deal with empty nest syndrome. Fun fact that's not so fun. The majority of suicides out there are from these women. That's a clue. Third perspectives, the second group, your Dobie women. These are the women who are 6th perspective but are being forced to obey like a second perspective. Those are your domesticated slaves who are aware that they are trapped and they can't get out. I lived like that for 40 years. I was a conscious house slave living as a bee woman since I was 4 years old up to 40 years old. And it was just me constantly trying to get the fuck out. Freed is when you get out and you're like me, bitter, a bit cynic, healing, trying to find good in the world, trying to remind yourself that not everybody is an asshole who's trying to keep you enslaved. It's hard. You are hard. You've learned that you have to really shove your boundaries down men's throats because they are so eager to just grab you and put you back down there. And then you start to finally put enough space between those people and yourself that you're okay. That's where I am now is okay. All right, I'm stable. I can relax my guard without people trying to put me back into chains, literally. I'm okay now. All right. And then you start to relax. And then you go, all right, now it's time to increase the quality of my life. That's where I am now, is I'm relaxed a little bit, a lot of it, and I'm ready to start increasing the quality of my life. Now, once I increase the quality of my life, I'm going to get to the next stage, and I'm going to weed out more toxic people, and I'm going to get more healthy people in. So I'm at that transition stage where I'm definitely left the society. I'm out of it, and I'm good. The D women are anomalies. They are the women who we all women should be if we did not have the slave system we have. These women are as strong and as independent as me without the bitterness. They know their own worth, authority, and power without ever having to fight for it. It's extraordinary to see them. I remember this one woman. They're almost always eccentric artists. Almost always they're eccentric artists. And they naturally know their power. And they've never had to fight for it. They're relaxed. They're very kind. They're very chill. They are a complete mystery to me. I have met 3 D women. The artist teacher in my class in my school when I was 18, she was a D woman. She was a free-spirited 6th perspective who did art. And then this woman who lived, she was a burner, and she lived on a reserve, on a nature reserve. Yeah, she was extraordinary. And then this older woman, again, very spiritual, so many trinkets around her neck, chakras, real chill. Born and raised in freedom. Her parents were hippies. She never had to fight for her freedom. She just was. And they empowered her and nurtured her. And she looked at women who were not freed, and she was like, I don't understand those people. And I'm like, yeah, I do. My mom was one. My mom was a 2nd perspective B woman. And she woke up when I was 19 years old, 16 years old, and she tried to escape. That's when she tried to extract herself. It's like she woke up one day and realized, holy shit, I'm a fucking slave. And I watched my mother wake up, and then she escaped, and the best she could do was go to a different slave owner. That's my stepfather. And she's still living there. And she says to me, I'm just waiting for him to die so I can be free. Yeah, you heard me. I'm just waiting for him to die so I can be free. Where I come from, women say that a lot. So, the next stage of healing is normalizing. These are the days after you've done your self-care. You're kind of waiting for your next seed drop, but don't wait for your next seed drop. The seed drop's going to come. They always do. This is the cycle of life. A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. Always. Doesn't stop. You get better at handling the seed drops. And when you know that the seed drops are there, and by the way, it's the letter C, like literally, like Google seed drop, and the internet will blow up. You'll see the graph, and it's like, oh, this is a tool that psychologists have had for decades. And it's really helpful to know this shit. And I don't know why they don't share it with us. And when I found it, I was like, this is a massive tool. Why aren't we given this? So normalizing is what happens from D to B. And that's it exactly. It is what's going on between D to B. The goal with normalizing is to learn and memorize your new normal. This is important, really important. Learn and get comfortable with your new normal. Because every time you recover from a seed drop, you're going to be closer to healing. You're going to feel more normal. So get comfortable with it. Absolutely get comfortable with it. I think my niche are B women. I think that's it. Is my niche are sixth perspective B women. Now, there are two kinds of men. There's only two kinds. Well, there's three kinds of men. But there's two kinds of men. So there's four kinds of women, but there's two kinds of men. There is A men and B men. A men are the men who want, nurture, and expect a woman to be like a second perspective. And then there is the B man who is perfectly fine and normal and okay and wants a woman who is a C woman. And then there is a C man. And I have only ever met one of those. And he's my partner. He is the advocate for C and D women. Now, there is a difference of wanting and acknowledging it and knowing and supporting, but a C man actively fights for it. It's the weirdest, most extraordinary thing I've ever seen. The C man is so removed from the system that he doesn't use words like feminism and masculine because he knows what they do to your mind. I only date C men. I love saying that word. The 5-year-old in me is going, okay, the C men, yes. Yeah, so the majority of men out there are A men. And this is where women are like, oh my God, the men out there. Yeah, that's an A man. The A man are the garbage men. The B men, in my opinion, they range from tolerable, acceptable. All right, I'm good. I can be around B men. I would never date a B man, but I could be around a B man. But my mind spoiled me. He would hear what I have to say, and he would correct my language and say to me, Anna, that's slave talk. Don't do that. And I'd be like, oh. And he taught me how to stop thinking like a slave. B men are indifferent to it, and they use the same speech as A men without realizing the impact of the speech. And I think this is really because I'm a slave, or I was, because I was in that society. I'm sensitive to the language. So when I hear people say, oh, that's a female, that means something. That is A man talk for you are so low in life, we're going to call you an adjective. A female is like saying, oh, that's a cow. And yeah, I grew up with that mentality. B men will mindlessly say that shit, even though they don't mean it, but they repeat it from the A men. The C men know and will say, if you call them men, then call them women. Stop calling them females. You don't go around saying these males. You say these men. It's like there's men and girls. We don't call men boys. We call men men. But we don't call women women. We call them females or girls. Why do you think that is? The language matters. So this is a language that comes out of the A men's mouth to derogatorily put down and degrade the woman into slave status. And then when you get out of that slave status, you start to realize it. So the B men use it but are mindless and unaware. The C men are aware of it. They know, and they put a stop to it and correct it. No, we call them women. We're going to call them men and we're going to call them women. And they are working toward removing the language, the derogatory speech. Now, you could argue that this is PC bullshit, which is very common for an A man or a fourth perspective to say. Likewise, we have in the world justice warriors, which is another really derogatory phrase by the fourth perspective to put down that mindset because they want to keep their slaves. When you start to pull this apart, you start to see the slave language and how it's embedded in our society, designed to keep you small, shrunken, and useless. And when you start to hear it, you start to realize what's going on. And then you can't shut it off. And then you become like, get me the fuck out of this shithole. So I speak for the B women who are the sixth perspectives, ready to get the fuck out. And I show you how. Oh, yes, do I show you how? It's like, I love doing this. So yeah, I think I found my niche. I'm still working on it. No, I don't think I am working on it. I think I did a lot of work yesterday. I did a lot of work over the last 5 days, and that's where I am now, is I'm normalizing. So when you go through your mental days, your self-care days, your normalizing, it's to condition your mind that this is how the new is going to be. It's so that we recondition a new familiar and comfort zone into us so we don't slingshot back into a negative mindset. And that's how it's that ABC status. Thank you so much for joining me, and may the kindest of words always find you.